Alright everyone, we have hit a new pinnacle of Trump derangement syndrome. Yes, just when you thought that they had reached the apex of Trump derangement syndrome technology, somehow they engineered a way to improve it. Link in the description. This is just to my tweet on the original tweet, which is about Jen Psaki specifically. Although she ain't the only one doing it right now. The other day, Trump gave a speech in which he warned that the automotive industry was going to experience a bloodbath should he not be reelected. That is that in the absence of protective tariffs, China especially and other countries are going to run roughshod over automotive manufacturing in the United States, especially with regards to electric vehicles, I would point out, undercutting our markets because these other countries manipulate their currency and they manipulate the cost of items, and they're willing to come in, even operating at a loss for some time, just in order to fuck with U.S. manufacturing. Then they can take it over, they can gobble it up, and then they raise it, effectively attempting to slow roll a monopolization of a key industry. The U.S. automotive industry is enormous. It employs millions of people, directly and indirectly. It would be listed as a bloodbath were such a thing to occur, and that's an active plan by some other nations in the world, especially, again, China. Now, Trump said, the automotive industry will experience a bloodbath if I am not reelected, and then goes on to pontificate about the reasons why and the solutions that he proposes. Again, I'm not a fan of tariffs, I'm a fan of free trade, but when another country is not engaging in free trade with you and you refuse to do anything about it, it's no longer really free trade anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference. Putting a tariff on it, or at least threatening to do so should they continue their attempted incursion, is a good idea. The hope is that the threat backs them down, and Trump did do this successfully with China. Now, the other day, what was the reporting? It's trending still on Twitter right now for this very reason. The Legacymedia and so-called influencers from the left took his comments completely out of context, shortened up the clip nicely, and made it sound like Trump was merely warning that if he's not reelected, the United States will experience a bloodbath. In context, it was simply about the automotive industry. It was about manufacturing. Out of context, it makes it sound like he's threatening a bloody civil war if he loses, or something like that. But that's not what was said. Now you've got a doubling down by the circle jerker, Jen Psaki, the real-life peppermint patty from Peanuts, saying, well, no, our network didn't misquote him at all. That's actually what he meant. It's an insinuation. He used that term for an insinuation, basically. So he used that particular term in the automotive context, but the wider context is a wink and a nod to his evil and violent fans, basically. Well, that's not the case. The term bloodbath has been used in a colloquial sense more often to describe economic conditions than anything else. For instance, and this happens with a lot. I love linguistics, so I'm going to get excited here. Let's say that I go to the buffet, and I eat 10 plates of food. Now I get all my friends with me. A bunch of clankers meet at the buffet, and we just devour everything in sight to the point where some of it's running out, and they're like, fuck, and then they kick us out. We could describe that as a bloodbath or a massacre. It's in a humorous context generally, a hyperbolic context when you use those terms. Now, a bloodbath can also be some dude with a Tommy gun walked into a school and killed 50 people. But that's not what I'm describing. It can be used in an abstract form to describe something that is akin to a massacre, akin to a bloodbath. Stock market, probably the best example. The stock market ends up going into a tailspin, and the stocks are down across the board to the point where, there are people running around on the trading floor sweating bullets wondering if they're going to have a livelihood tomorrow. They will describe that as an economic bloodbath. It doesn't mean that the stock traders resorted to killing one another. It doesn't mean that a stock trader waltzed in with a couple of pistols and started shooting a bunch of people. It means that the stocks are encountering what is akin to a bloodbath. They're being decimated. They're being destroyed. They're being torn asunder. It's a massacre. It's a bloodbath. But it's not it's an abstract usage of the term. They're pretending, and now they're coping. They're literally lying about lying here and telling their fans, the 10 of them that are still there, that that's not what that Trump was insinuating something. Well, you're putting words in his mouth. He used a commonly used term that is associated with economic conditions. I've seen it on your Legacymedia broadcast since I was a child. Anytime that there's a massive stock market collapse or something like that, it's a massacre, it's a bloodbath. You use the same term. You're not insinuating violence. You're insinuating that it is a violent spectacle as a relative to the stock market or the economy or something like that. Well, this jobs report was a massacre. We lost 2 million jobs this quarter. Well, you're not saying that people died and therefore they're no longer employed, or something like that. You're saying that the job market got hammered. It was a bloodbath when the locusts came and ate all of our corn. Oh God, it was a melee, a maelstrom. Well, it's not an actual maelstrom. No storm came through. It was locusts that ate the corn. A hurricane didn't eat the corn. People use relativistic terminology like that on a regular basis. We do it all the goddamn time. People often don't even understand the direct association. It's just colloquial usage. They don't even understand the linguistics behind it. What he was saying is that the automotive industry, and this is his opinion, should he not be reelected, is going to undergo a meltdown. Well, it's not literally melting. It's not like the sun got too hot and the cars started melting into their own tires or something like that. You're saying that it's going to undergo a breakdown, a meltdown. It's going to stop functioning. The same is true of Bloodbath. It means that a foreign adversary is going to gobble up the U.S. automotive industry and fucking destroy it. He may or may not be wrong, by the way, and let's hope that we don't have to have that experiment. If Trump is reelected, I think that things, generally speaking, will be fine. And the idea is that foreign manipulation, especially by China, is going to impede the U.S. automotive industry, probably destroying several 100,000 jobs. Well, that's pretty bad. So there are towns out there that basically only exist because there's an auto plant around there. This happened to coal country a lot. The coal seam dried up, or a fire started in it, and then the coal's gone, and then the town just dries up and dies. There's nothing left but a shell for extreme enthusiasts of brutalismus to investigate. Now you get that town in Pennsylvania that nobody's allowed to live in, I think, because the coal fire underneath has destabilized the entire area. I think Silent Hill was partially based on that premise, if I remember correctly. Interesting movie. Some good scenes and some bullshit in it, but yeah, I didn't like the ending, but it was interesting anyway at times. That dude with the giant sword and the triangular helmet, that was pretty cool. It's a total lie, an unmitigated lie. And the thing is, they know that they're lying, they know that everyone understands that they're lying, and somehow they're still doubling down. They should have issued an apology and said, we used a selectively edited video clip of Mr. Trump to make a point and blame it on a staffer. We were rushing out the story. It's breaking news, and we thought it was really significant, so we didn't copy edit it properly, and we should have done more due diligence. Just admit to having made a mistake and, throw a staffer under the bus or something like that in order to save your network's reputation. It is self-evident that you are lying. I've seen the original video. I've seen the edited version of that video. It is a lie to insinuate that Trump is insinuating any form of violence here. He could have used other terms. He could have said the automotive industry will melt down. He's not saying that the CEOs are all collectively going to go psycho and have nervous breakdowns or something like that, or the employees they get mentally fucked up at the same time. It's not what he would be saying. He would be saying that the industry itself would suffer a breakdown, as in it would be harmed significantly by a foreign power. If he said that it's going to have a meltdown, again, apparently your reporting would be Donald Trump claims that climate change has gotten so bad cars are going to begin dissolving or something like that. Would that make any more sense than what you're saying here? And to circle back around and literally try to cover ass by lying about lying is just on a totally different level of Trump derangement syndrome than pretty much anything else that we've seen to date. That's about all. Peace out.